thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk, presented by the Shore Football Report. I'm Coach Davis, and today I am very fortunate to have the head football coach at Brick Memorial High School, Coach Walt Currie. Coach, thanks for coming on the show today.
Coach Davis, thanks for having me, man. It's an honor.
Oh, great, man. We got a lot to talk about with you, and we go way back in the days when Coach Ken Frank asked me to work his camp, and I was alongside of you, listening to you coach pitchers back in the day. I don't know if you remember that, but we were coaching his camp, and seeing you grow as a football coach and a baseball coach has been a pleasure on my end.
I appreciate that. I've been honored to be part of the programs I've been part of, and more importantly, honored to coach the kids that I've coached. I've been very fortunate to have some great kids who have also had a lot of talent, and I owe a lot to those guys. That's what I owe everything to, actually. Everything that I've become as a coach, and every game I've won, every championship we've won, I really owe it to our kids. Our kids have just been amazing all the way through.
Coaching's relationships, and how I know Coach Frank is, my parents are good friends with him. And I remember him telling me he didn't know where to put me in what spot. And he goes, I want to hook you up with Coach Currie. He's going to be an up-and-coming coach. Trust me, watch it. And you know what? Telling him right now, he was right. He was absolutely right. You were a detailed coach with the mechanics, and you're the same way as an offensive coordinator and a football coach. Detail is what Coach Currie's all about, and we can't wait to talk about you today in our talk show, Coach. All right,
yeah,
Coach. Let me just do a quick intro on you right now, and then you're going to take the floor with the process. Coach Currie, this is his 15th season at Brick Memorial. He's 79 wins. 2008, he won the Central Jersey Group 4 State Sectional Championship and beat Sayreville 24-0, and that was at Rutgers, wasn't it?
It was.
That was awesome, man. What a feeling that must have been, huh?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing to see the reaction of our kids at the end of the game. And even leading up to the end of the game, they could just kind of feel that it was happening and that it was going to become a reality for them, and the grind that they had gone through and that they had put themselves. So we all know football is a grind, just like, there's a bunch of other sports out there. But I think football and wrestling are the two sports that's the biggest grind. Yeah. So, when you see kids just push through that grind, and they get to the pinnacle of the sport at the high school level anyway, it's just amazing to see. It's amazing to see the joy and the relief and sometimes sadness, right? You get to the end of a good book, and all of a sudden you miss the characters in the book, and that's kind of how it happens when you win a state title too. All of a sudden it rushes to you that not only did we do a great job and this is amazing and we won a state title, and then there's also that, oh my God, we'll never do this again.
Yeah.
But it was a great moment. It was a great moment.
Yeah, that's great, man. And I know you're very passionate, and I'm sure you were just as excited as those kids when that final whistle blew at the end of the game there. Coach, just real quickly, you've won 3 division championships at Brick Memorial in your short run of 15 years, and with that state title won. That's a very impressive resume, and it's still going because you're still the football coach there, and some great times are way, way ahead. Before that, you were at Point Borough as the offensive coordinator, where you started installing the triple option. And that you were with Calvin Thompson and I think Sean Boylan, right?
Sean was my first year there, and then my last 5 was Calvin. Yep.
6 years you were there, 5 of them you were the OC, and you started getting a great reputation with your very dynamic play calling and installation of the triple option. And anytime I had an issue with triple option, you're the first guy I call all the time with that. You won a state championship in 2005. You were 12-0. That was a really good football team, wasn't it?
That was an amazing football team, and that was spearheaded by our quarterback Tom Hoyer, who ended up being the Ocean County Athlete of the Year. Not only was he an undefeated quarterback in the fall, but in the springtime, he was our catcher. Had 10 home runs and 50 RBIs, leading us to a state title in baseball too. So, he was just an unbelievable athlete and an amazing kid to coach. An amazing kid to coach, and had a great demeanor. Yeah,
we're going to get right back to what you just said. But you had 2 division championships in your run as an assistant coach at Point Borough, and of course that state title. So you have 5 division championships in football in your career and 2 state championships. And like you just said, you were the head baseball coach for 6 years. That same season, coach, I want to know what it felt like. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, not too many people could say this, that you won a state championship in football. And then in the spring, as the head baseball coach, you won the South Jersey Group 2 state championship the same season. Now, how many kids were on that team that you coached on both football and baseball?
There were a bunch. I already mentioned Hoyer. Pat Bazerta was a running back and our center fielder. He was just an animal. He ended up playing at Rutgers and then in the Cardinals organization for a little while. Pete Chomiak was a pitcher on the baseball team and played the line. And we had a bunch of other kids who also, played both sports. They were just, again, I mentioned to you before we even came on, just a bunch of great kids to be around. They worked hard. They believed in each other. And, their team chemistry, along with obviously their talent, but their team chemistry really took that entire team a long way that entire year.
That's an awesome story. It really is. Baseball, football, the same season. You spoiled coach, man. You spoiled coach.
I was so spoiled. It was ridiculous. We won a lot of games.
I mean, a lot of great memories you had there, coach. You had there. Now, what I want from you is the process. I want to know how you got to be the head football coach and where you're at right now. I want to know all the stops, who started getting you interested in sports. It might be baseball and you just flipped to football, whatever it is. But during the process, I want you to review for everybody what your process was to get to where you are right now.
Well, it started out, when I was in college, and I got injured my freshman year, and so sports were over for me at that point. Ended up running into Bill Frank, who was the head baseball coach at Toms River East forever. He was my coach from my sophomore year on, and then in 1990, I kind of bumped into him, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come out and coach a little baseball, volunteer?" And that's what I did. I was the JV. I was actually an assistant JV coach at 20 years old. I was working for Dan Dietrich. He was the head JV coach at the time, and worked under him for a year. And then the next year, I kind of took over the JV program, and then kind of worked my way up as the varsity pitching coach, and worked my way through the program there. And I was there for 12 years. I coached for Bill for 12 years at East. In the meantime, I also contacted, once I got the job with Bill, I contacted Ken Snyder, who was the head football coach at East at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the head coach when I was there, when I was playing there, and contacted him and said, "Hey, I'm going to be volunteering for Bill in the springtime. I would love to help out your program too, if there's room for me." Ended up getting a spot there, so I was able to coach there periodically, on and off for maybe like 2 out of 4 years. I was able to do that just because, I was still going to school and trying to take classes and graduate and all that. So that's where I started. I started out at East. In 97, Ron Signorino got his second opportunity to coach at Toms River South. And I had a sit down with Ken, who was, again, I went back to, when I was a junior in high school with him. And, so we were tight, and I learned a ton from him about offense, about defense, about how to talk to kids and how to develop relationships and, all those important things about coaching that sometimes people don't talk about. But seeing a lot of your interviews, a lot of guys are talking about that kind of stuff now. So that's definitely a good thing. But anyway, I talked to him. I said, "Listen, Coach, I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate the start you've given me. I think it's time for me to learn from somebody new." And he was like, "Coach, I totally understand. Go do what you need to do." And it was a great move for me because even though I learned a lot from Ken, I also learned a lot from Coach Sig. And I tell guys all the time, like, "What was it like coaching for Coach Sig?" I'm like, "Well, I'm just going to tell you this. In our very first staff meeting was 4 hours long, and all he did was talk about his base 4-4 defense. And he talked about it in such detail. I learned more in that 4-hour meeting than I had learned cumulatively about football my entire life. From my dad growing up, playing youth football, playing high school, playing a year in college before I got hurt, all those things, coaching for Ken Snyder. Those were all great experiences. I learned a lot of football. But that 4-hour period with Coach Sig was the most football I'd learned up to that point, had matched up to what I'd learned up to that point. He was just an amazing, detail-oriented defensive coach. And what was great about Coach Sig, too, is, along with Ken, is that, he let his coaches coach. He's like, "You're the head coach." He hired me as a running backs coach, he said, "You're the head coach of the running backs. So you figure out how to be the best running back coach you can be. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. I'm not going to micromanage my guys. You're the head coach of it. You get your job done. Here's the job I need you to do. get that job done. Whether that's go to clinics, read books, talk to coaches, whatever it might be. He's like, I'll give you the resources you need, but get the job done. You're the head coach. And that's how he treated every coach. Every coach was treated like they're the head coach of their position. And, it gave me ownership. That's what I felt when he did that. He gave me ownership. So that's something that I've kind of taken forward with my guys at Memorial. And hey, if you want this responsibility, then you're the head coach. And I laugh because even when guys come up with ideas, I'm like, great idea. You're in charge. You know what I mean? Great idea. You're in charge. Coach, I think we should redo the equipment room a different way. Good. You're in charge. It's yours. And I don't do it because I don't want to do it. Like, I'll do it. I don't care. But if they have a great idea, now, for the record, nobody's come up with a great equipment room idea. For the record. But guys come up with great ideas, and you know what? You want them to own that idea and let them run with that idea, because that's how you grow as a coach. And that's really what I want from these guys is to give them the freedom to grow as a coach, so that they can eventually move up to a coordinator spot, move up to a head coaching spot, whether it's somewhere else or whether it's here when I leave, whatever it might be, to help these guys grow. Because to be honest with you, the most growth you can have for the most part is when you leave a program. That's kind of what I found after moving around a little bit. And I know I'm kind of going off topic a little bit. I apologize.
No, good.
I'm just going to keep going. You cut out whatever you need to cut out.
Keep going.
But so I just felt like moving was a good growth. But at the same time, going with Coach Sig was a great experience, because I was able to grow without having to leave. And that was the biggest thing I got out of it. And that's what I try to provide for my guys, so they don't. Not that I don't want them to leave. I don't want them to leave, but I don't want them to have to feel like they have to leave in order to grow as a coach. And that's the environment I try to provide for my guys, at least in part. So anyway, so I was at South there for 4 years, while Sig was there for his 4. And that brought us to 2001, where I coached for Bill Frank for 12 years. And it was time for me to try to run my own program as a baseball coach. I felt like I was ready to run my own baseball program. I wasn't ready football-wise, but I was ready to try anyway for baseball. Point Borough was a good spot. It was a spot that opened up. They had won, maybe 4 or 5 games over a 2-year period, and they had a good class coming back. I also felt like it was a good environment for a baseball program. I know that there was years before that they were a solid program, a solid community, a great school district as far as academics go. So I thought it was a good fit for me. So I went for the job and was lucky enough to get it, and had a great group of guys right off the bat. So right off the bat, we had kids like Pat Ford, who was a great left-handed pitcher. Chris Barth was a great right-handed pitcher. We had catchers. We had Adam Taylor. We had, a bunch of other. We had a bunch of other dudes. TJ Baxter was a great shortstop for us. Steve Fisher was a good outfielder. Sean Henry was a good first baseman and DH for us. So we had a lot of guys who could really play ball right off the bat. So we got real fortunate there. And I was there for, like I said, for 6 years. And then coaching football and baseball. Calvin was another guy that I learned a lot from. As far as letting his coaches coach, really did a great job with that. And then when it came to the option, you mentioned the option game coach, and I got to give a lot of credit to Pete Brennan, who was the head coach at Madison Central a long time ago. And when I got to Point Borough, was the line coach at Point Borough, and he taught me how to run outside veer. He was a split back veer guy, and I was like a midline inside veer guy at the time. And he taught me how to run outside veer. He's like, outside veer will be a great game changer for you.
Coach, one question. How did Point Borough just all of a sudden get to that offense? Because they weren't running that prior to you doing that stuff.
No. So under Sean Boylan, when I was the running backs coach, so my first year at Borough, I was a head baseball coach, and during football season, I was Sean Boylan's running back and defensive end coach. We were generic high school right? Yeah. Lead, power, counter, toss, play action pass, 5-step game, that kind of stuff, which was great. It was great to coach in that offense. Again, I coached in that offense with Ken Snyder a little bit at East. And then when Cal got the job, it was, he kind of sat down with myself, Pete Brennan, and the three of us kind of talked it out. And Calvin was like, I'm kind of a wishbone guy, so I'm all about the option. I was like, I'm an option guy. I'm like a flex bone, double wing option guy. Pete Brennan was a split back veer guy. So he basically gave the offense to me and Pete. He said, okay, you guys want to run the option? You guys run it. I'll run the defense. You guys run the offense. We'll run a little split back veer, a little flex bone. So we kind of did a little bit of both early on, and then we kind of evolved to 100% flex bone, and we added outside veer the next year. And that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, and the rest is history, because once you put that in, I mean, you guys were the most efficient offenses around.
Well, it was a game changer. It was a game changer for our program, definitely as far as the option goes. But it was really because of the kids we had. So we had quarterbacks that really did an amazing job reading the option. Robbie Orrock really spearheaded the whole thing. He started his junior and senior year at quarterback and really did just an unbelievable job. Actually led us to the state final the year before we won it in 2005. We got there in 2004 undefeated. We were 11-0 and went up to West Deptford. We're down to West Deptford and got our tails handed to us by a really well coached.
I know what that feels like.
By Coach Folsom.
Yeah.
Coach Folsom did an amazing job there. I think he's the AD there. Maybe he's retired, but
he's retired.
Did an amazing job at West Deptford. His kids were always very well prepared. He was very well prepared for our option, and we really had to kick our game up the next year. And we faced them in the semifinals the next year, and we were undefeated. I think they had one loss, something like that. But we were playing at home, and our kids made a couple of really nice adjustments, and we were able to hang in there and have more points up on the scoreboard by the end of the game. It's one of those games where you feel you win the game on the scoreboard, but you feel so exhausted.
Yeah.
you really feel, physically anyway, and emotionally like you almost you're not sure who won or lost unless you look at the scoreboard. It was that kind of game.
That's a huge win, Coach. That's a huge win. That's a Hall of Fame football coach and outstanding football program down there that you beat.
Yeah, no doubt. And they had won it like 2 or 3 years straight, and for us to knock them off was amazing. And really to provide the Point Borough environment, family, the community, with that kind of environment, a home semifinal game against a state champion team, and beat them to kind of help be a part of that and provide that community with an experience like that was absolutely unforgettable. That's
awesome, Coach. Now I want to know, how did you get to the next spot?
So it was. I tell you what, it was hard to even pick up the phone. To be honest with you, it was hard to pick up the phone because I love Point Borough so much. I loved the football program we were a part of. I loved the baseball program, the school. I just loved everything about it. It was just one of those things where I was like, I got to test the waters. I got to test the waters and see if I can be a head football coach. It's something I've always wanted. So, like I said before, when I applied for the Borough job, it was time for me to be a head baseball coach and try to run my own program. And I was, very fortunate in that. And then, I was like, the Memorial football job came up, and I talked to my dad about it, who was still alive at the time, and we talked in depth about it. And he's like, "What does your heart tell you?" And my heart told me to go for the job, and I'm so happy I did it. Because it's been the greatest experience of my life. It really has. Like, I love Point Borough at the time, but you know how you do it? You're in a situation that you love what you're doing so much, and you're not sure what's going to be on the other side. You're in that spot now, Coach. You're in that spot now where you're in a situation where you had to leave a situation. And you don't know what's on the other side. And I am so thankful for the leap that I took, because it was one of those situations where it was a well-established program, and I was honored just to become a part of it. That's all I really wanted. I wanted to become part of the Brick Memorial program. It wasn't like I just want to run my own program and I want to take it to the next level. It wasn't anything like that. It was just, I was just honored to be part of it, to be part of the Warlords, to be part of the Mustangs, to be part of the Brick Memorial community, to be part of a community overall that was just so football oriented and school oriented, focused on getting kids to the next level. And I just wanted to be a part of it. And to be part of it as a head coach, as a head football coach, I was just, blown away by the opportunity, and may he rest in peace, Bill Bruno kind of gave me that opportunity as our athletic director. He gave me that opportunity, and really pushed for me to get the job, even though I wasn't necessarily the popular candidate at the time. He kind of went out on a limb several times to kind of really push for me, and I can't be thankful enough to him for that, and for the opportunity of a lifetime. People people ask me all the time, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm living the dream." And some people think I'm joking or being sarcastic, or people do that, right? I'm living in paradise, that kind of deal. But I legit feel like this is my dream job, and I tell our kids all the time, when they ask, "Hey, Coach, how's it going today?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm living the dream. I get to coach you guys for a living," and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That's how I feel.
I think it's amazing that your reputation got you from Point Borough and you weren't a head football coach yet prior, and you got that job. You won the interview over. That's what I love. And I know you. So I know you. You're an outstanding teacher. Wherever you are, you make such a lasting impression. You won them over in the interview, and it says a lot about you. It really does. And I don't think anybody's looking back 15 years ago with that decision that was made at all.
Well, yeah, I'm certainly not. I'm certainly not looking back. I mean, like I said, I love Point Borough, and it didn't. I was hesitant to pick up the phone, but I'm glad I did, because this has been the experience of a lifetime.
Coach, that's an awesome take on the process. All right. Now, Coach, I'm going to take this mask off because I'm sick of wearing it during that COVID season of last year. I don't want to hear anything more negative about COVID. And I know your community doesn't want to, and of course yourself. Give me something positive that you and your program learned last year during that COVID football season.
Well, I think the biggest positive was the way our kids responded to the new process, to all the COVID protocols, filling out the paperwork, getting their temperature taken every day, working out in pods where they couldn't interact with each other. And our kids just went along for the ride. They really did an amazing job. They didn't work any differently. They still worked their tails off for each other. And, that's what I learned, and it wasn't anything I didn't know already, but it was like one of those things where, man, we threw one more thing on their plate, or two more things, or three more things, and they still responded in the positive. They didn't complain about it. They weren't like, we got to do this. And maybe they did under their breath, but they certainly never showed it. They certainly never had any of those inner feelings of the negativity of the whole COVID protocol process and let them affect what they did on the field. And, that's just a testament to their character and a testament to their upbringing and how great parents they've got and what great kids they are.
Yeah, it was an experience not only for them, but for us too. We were all living it at the same time. So it was very unique, because I know when you went to college, they didn't say, hey, 25 years from now, you're going to deal with this, some type of pandemic out there. Right? We us as coaches too, we're all talking to each other going, what do we do? But we had to do it, just because we have to overcome any obstacle during the season. This was one, too.
Sure. I mean, we grew up, drinking out of the same water hose. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's how we grew up. So
I'll tell you one thing, Coach. I haven't touched a pen in like months, because we had to text, we had to do everything on virtual, all that. So just writing your name on a pen was very, very weird for us.
And I'll tell you, off the football topic, I'll tell you the number one thing I like about the new COVID protocols is the menus at restaurants. Just scan it with your phone and it pops up. Menus are gross and disgusting. Like, I don't want to touch somebody's menu.
Oh, that's
you know what I mean? So I like that part. I hope that part sticks around. That's for sure.
I don't think the menu part is going to go away at all, Coach. Okay, now, Coach, I'm going to ask you to speak a little bit about your 2021 Brick Memorial Mustangs football schedule. Then on the right-hand side, the newly formed Independence Division with some, different teams that you're not used to playing. So, Coach, please talk about the left-hand side with your schedule first.
Well, first thing is, our schedule right now is one of those schedules where you're circling every team you're playing. So you circle your big games, right? You circle your big games, you circle your rivalry games. We're circling every single game on that schedule. That's the kind of schedule we've got right now. We open up with Howell. That's a local team. That's a team we're very familiar with. We've played them a lot over the years, so we're very familiar with them. Thomasville South is a great football program. I mentioned to you before, I coached for Coach Sig at South for 4 years. His son is now running the program, so we're our staff. Well, I'm still pretty tight with that staff. And that's always a rivalry game. That's always a rivalry game for us. Obviously, Brick Township's the biggest rivalry game we got. That's as big as it gets in the area, I think. And then we have Middletown North. Middletown North is a team we're used to playing. We have played them a lot over the last few years. Coach Bush does an amazing job. He does an amazing job. He coaches high school football with a college mentality, and his kids, it shows on film when you watch his kids play. Coach Versillo, legendary coach. We have to circle that game because you're playing one of the best programs in Ocean County, ever. So, got to circle that game. And Marlboro, that's a circle game too. Last time we played them, we didn't do so well. So that's circled out for us too. So we've circled every game on our schedule as a big game. And that's kind of, we kind of always treat it, the way we always treat it anyway is this, the most important game we're going to play is the next game. So right now, the most important game on our schedule is Howell. And everything we're doing is right now is to prepare for Howell and to beat them and to try to at least compete with them and do the best we can and give ourselves a chance in the fourth quarter. That's what we're trying to do. So our next game is our most important game. But as you go through the whole schedule, every single one is going to be huge. Every one is circled on our calendar. So we're going to just take it literally game by game.
Spoken like a true head football coach. But you are truly right, because every program, I'm going to say that in the short conference, I always look at the positive of every program. It gets me really nervous. It really does, these guys. And looking at your schedule, I'm going to just talk about one game. All right. Yes, they're all big games, but that rivalry, Brick Township, Brick Memorial. And here's my question to you. You've played them in the beginning of the season. You've played them at the end of the season, and now it's in the middle. Is there a perfect time for both your programs to play and your community to play the game? What is the difference playing week 0, Thanksgiving, or in the middle? And whenever you play them, it's a big game. We know that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so to my answer is it doesn't matter. My answer is it doesn't matter because no matter what week you pick to play the Brick Memorial game, it's going to be huge. If we went back to Thanksgiving, there'd be 5,000 people there. You do it week 3, and there's going to be 5,000 people there. And if you did it week 0, there'd be 5,000 people there, all going just as crazy as they would if it was any other time of the year. So, as far as that goes, it doesn't matter. Was it fun to play them on Thanksgiving? Yeah, it was fun at the beginning to play them on Thanksgiving, against Coach Wolf, at least in the Thanksgiving season, playing Coach Wolf, Coach Dowling. We moved it to the opener. I think it was one of Coach Dowling's years. We moved it to the opener, and that was fun for a while. It was kind of a build-up all summer. That was fun. We played them in the middle of the year last year. That was fun. Both teams kind of trying to fight for a 500 season, so I think no matter where you put it, I think it's going to be a huge game, and I think there's going to be a huge crowd, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be exciting for the kids.
I like it in the middle. I'm going to be honest with you, because it now affects your run in the postseason too. But you're right. You play that game anywhere, it's a huge game. With that, Coach, now talking division, the newly formed Independence Division, and us coaches, we don't feel very comfortable every year because we don't know who's in our division, because the committees change it up every single year. We don't have the A South, the B South that you're used to. We have newly formed divisions named now the Independents. And in that division, looking at it from top to bottom, I see a very, very competitive division. Do you agree?
Yeah, totally agree.
You hit it right.
I feel like any one of those teams is good enough to win it.
I mean, shake it up, take their name out of a hat and just put it in an order. That can happen. You talk to 5 different coaches, you're probably going to get 5 different predictions of the order of this division. You really, truly are.
Yeah.
I think, just looking at that, like you said, you have Middletown North, where you have a college football coach mentality running the ship with Coach Bush. Lacey Township with Coach Versillo is the winningest program in Ocean County. Howell just named their new head football coach. He's a legend in there, a legend player. Billy Hill is now coaching his alma mater. Brick Township, and Brick Memorial is Brick Memorial. That's 5 interesting matchups, Coach, during the 2021 season. Okay, now, Coach, this part right here is where you talk about the guys that make us head football coaches look good on and off the field, the glue to the program, and they are your football assistant coaches. Please give us a bunch of names of who they are and what they're doing right now.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna start out with our freshman guys, Ryan Graham and Jimmy Bright. They've been around. They've been with us at Memorial for a while. They actually went to Memorial. We have a lot of guys on our staff that are Brick Memorial alumni, and that was something that is to us very important to kind of keep the family going, that kind of deal. And they just do an amazing job. They keep the game fun. They find that balance between keeping the game fun and working the kids hard so they learn the program. And, that's what you want in freshman coaches. Yeah, that's what you want in coaches in general. And those 2 guys do an amazing job. So that's our freshman coaches. As far as our varsity coaches, we've got a lot, so it's going to take me a while. But just be patient with me if you can.
That's fine.
We got on the defensive end. I'll start on the defensive end. Robbie Brown is our defensive coordinator. He also works with our defensive backs. He's going into his 2nd year as our DC. We've got as our on the defensive line, we've got Coach Bill Brunner Sr., along with Mike Mahoney as our D tackles and D ends coach, respectively. Our inside linebackers coach is Nick Michella. Our safeties coach is Brady Watson, and our corners coach is Pete Walski. So that kind of rounds up our defensive staff. On the offensive staff, James Mahoney is our offensive coordinator. He's going into his second year as our offensive coordinator. We've got Bill Brunner Jr. as our offensive line coach, along with Paul Walski, who is a legendary offensive line coach in the Shore. Those two guys work together with the offensive line. Our tight ends coach is Bob Marola. He's a former head coach at Monmouth High School.
Yeah.
Our Coach Mahoney, James Mahoney, also doubles as our quarterbacks coach. Our wide receivers coach is Keith Farr. And our other wide receivers coach is also Pete Walski, also kind of goes back and forth between the O and the D. He's kind of a swing coach and also coaches the wide receivers. So that rounds it up. For me, I coach the running backs and I coach the strong safety. So, that's kind of where I fit in as far as that goes. But, I mentioned to you before about our staff. Our staff is unbelievable. It's a bunch of guys that coach with a head coaching mentality. We have – I would say at least 4 or 5 guys that not only have the ability to be head coaches, but have the ambition to be head coaches. And I think they're when they get their opportunity, whether it's here or whether it's in another sport or whether it's in another school, they're when they get that opportunity, they're going to do an amazing job.
Coach, I really, again, and I've known you from years, and as that OC, and when you were the OC when you got there at Brick Memorial, and now you're delegating, and that was something that I was told I needed to do, and that was told I was needed to do by not my coaches, but by my wife and my doctor. So, and let me tell you what, the last couple of games when I delegated, I had more fun than anything. I overseed watching my coaches coach and take it, and now they're coaching this year. I am so happy and proud that they're able to do it. And now you have what that's in place right now. How do you feel as a former OC for all those years? Because that's where you got your reputation, and now you're delegating. Does it make your job a little easier?
It's not, I would say it's easier, but it's different, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a blast. So the first thing, so there's 2 parts of it that I'm enjoying a lot. Number one, I'm able to balance myself a little bit more between offense and defense. Whereas when I was just running the offense and the head coach, it was offense, and it was like, okay, Pete Brennan was our defensive coordinator, and Mike Cinchon was our defense coordinator, and they did an amazing job. But I kind of left them hanging. I don't want to say hanging out to dry, but I really didn't help out the defense very much, to be completely honest. And now I'm able to kind of balance myself between them. That's been the number one thing that I've enjoyed, and I've tried to do. Number 2 is I've actually gone back to my assistant coaching days where I'm coaching the position. Before I would kind of oversee, coach the quarterbacks and oversee the offense and the defense. Now I'm not overseeing. I'm coaching the A-backs. I'm coaching our running backs every single day. I'm coaching our strong safeties every single day. So being able to do that, being able to get back to being a position coach and doing what I love to do, which is just coach football. You know what I mean? That's the thing I think sometimes as head coaches we got lost in, and I certainly did, is you get caught in – you lose focus of what made coaching fun to begin with. And I've been able to get back to that by delegating the OC and the DC positions. I've been able to get back to coaching my guys. And that's what I love the most about coaching, and that's what I still love the most, and I've been able to get back to that.
It's funny how you said that. I have a very loyal assistant that's been with me from day one, a guy by the name of Mike Burke. And he would say to me, remember the days when you did receivers? There was nothing better than when you did it. He goes, we want you back and do receivers too. And that made me think, as a head coach, I want to be my own best assistant coach. So coaching a specific position on how we got the job, because that's how people knew me as a receiver coach, you started getting back to where, the way you used to coach, and it brought back a lot of passion again with that too. So it was fun. So it's great hearing you evolve to where you are. And now you're developing another guy to be the guy, hopefully down the road too. That's a great staff, Coach. A lot of great names I've heard from the past, and then some newer names too. So you got a good mix of coaches in that locker room, Coach.
No doubt. I'm very, very lucky.
Now, Coach, I want you to talk about your 2021 Brick Memorial Mustangs football team. But before you go, just tell us all what you guys run schematically, offensively, defensively, and now let's hear all those exciting kids that are returning that's getting you pumped up.
Sounds good. So offensively, we are, and I've been saying this for a long time, is we're a multiple option team. So, most people, know us as an under center, flex bone, Navy style, triple option team. But when we get certain personnel, we kind of change it up and it starts to look more like spread. But it's still a multiple option based system. Everything we do is based on reading defenders. So we're going to be this year. We'll be in the shotgun, and we'll be what will look like spread option, but it will be definitely a multiple option system. And defensively, we are a 4-2-5, and with the ability to kind of get into multiple fronts, multiple coverages, pretty much just like everybody else. Just no matter what kind of personnel we got on the field.
Now let's hear about those key returning players.
So this is where it's at. This is where this is the key to the whole thing is our kids. And we bring back. I'm going to start with the offensive line because I think we got an offensive line that's coming back that's experienced. We got a lot of returning starters or a lot of guys that have played a lot of varsity games last year. So I'm going to start out from inside out. We got Colin Malahy, Sam Mazzaretti, PJ Mazzio, Brett Baxter, Ryan Gale, Evan Gillen, just to name that's kind of our top 6 offensive linemen. I know we only can play 5, but all 6 of those guys played a major part in our team last year, winning 3 of our last 4. They opened up holes for TJ MacArthur last year, and I would think that they're going to continue to get better and open up holes. We also have some talented younger linemen coming up that I'm not going to mention all their names because there are too many to mention right now. But hey, we're the kind of program that, just like a lot of other places, we're not going to name starters on day one. So we're certainly going to open it up for guys to prove themselves. So not only do those returning starters have to prove themselves every day, but those guys that are coming in that are young guys and not returning starters, they're going to have an opportunity to prove themselves. And we have 2 or 3 guys that we think could win starting jobs over some of those other guys. Based on them proving themselves. And they just have to come out and prove themselves on day one, starting August 9, and we'll go from there. As far as our skill spots go, we got, Jake Gallo coming back, Damon DeLuccio coming back. Both guys started on defense last year. They'll both play some offense this year as well. Jake LaRocca is another skill guy that we got coming back. He played some flanker last year for us, and we're going to increase his role. Mike Angracina played a lot of running back for us last year. We're going to expand his role, and he's also going to play. And he also played a lot of defense last year. So we're excited about a lot of the guys we got coming back. We got 2 quarterbacks who are going to compete for the starting spot. One's a junior, Joe Nolan, and one's a sophomore, Connor Dietz. Both are very good players in their own right. Both are going to have very good, excellent high school careers as they move forward. But we can't play 2 quarterbacks. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to play 1. So we're going to have a competition there, and let the best kid win, and we'll go from there. But we feel like we have 2 really good candidates at that spot, especially considering what we're trying to do offensively.
Coach, that's great. That what you just were saying about your O-linemen, 6 guys in the trenches that have experience.
6 returning starters, yeah. Now look, I'm not going to lie to anybody, and anybody who knows our program knows we don't have 6'4", 300-pound dudes, but we have tough kids. We have tough kids who will go through a wall for you, and that usually makes for a pretty good offensive lineman at the high school level. So we're really hoping for big things from those guys up front, and we're hoping for a lot of competition. So we got a lot of returning starters and good competition. To me, that is going to give us a chance.
Yeah, I liked how you said that those linemen helped you win 3 out of the last 4 games. That's a lot of good momentum going into next season.
No doubt, we're hoping that's we were happy that it happened for our seniors last year, that we won 3 of our last 4. We're able to kind of end the season on a positive note. But we also wanted it for the younger kids to use it as a springboard, a springboard to the following season, and that's what we're hoping to do. And we'll see how it goes from there.
I mean, of course, man. I mean, winning certain parts of the season at that end of the season really makes things a lot more, fun because you're ending on a good note, and then you're also got the optimism of the next season coming in too. So that's great. You're creating competition. 2 quarterbacks, that is always fun. Not knowing who it is, but you have confidence and anytime you're splitting reps, showing your confidence because the team needs to have a guy behind the center. and you're giving two guys a chance to compete, that's going to be very fun, very fun. And one guy could always play receiver, and that's that. I moved one guy, Coach.
Those two guys are going to be on the field. They're going to be on the field somewhere. So it's just really a matter of where. So we're going to figure out the quarterback thing first and go from there.
Coach, I had a quarterback competition back in 2010 or 9, and I moved the one kid to receiver and put the other kid at quarterback. The kid at receiver was a first-team All-State receiver, and then the quarterback threw for 6,000 yards in his career. So it kind of works out. At the moment, they might be a little upset that they're competing, but in the long end, it's going to be best for themselves and the team.
Sure.
That's awesome, Coach. Coach, this was a great take. I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking a little bit of Brick Memorial Mustangs football. You've been a good friend of mine for all the years, and that won't change now that I'm in the media, right?
That's right. It won't change. I'm just not going to tell you any secrets anymore. Right.
That's true. But yeah, little coach is coming. But this was great listening to your story, and I'm wishing you and your program the very, very best. I'll be covering a lot of your games. Now, with that being done and said, this will be posted tonight, and then we're going to see how much fan followings you have, because we have a top 20 views count on everybody's coaches talk. So you send that out to your community, give them the links. It's going to be on the shorefootballreport.com. I'm a .com dude. All right. And we're going to have some fun. And that website is going to cover you guys and the whole Shore Conference all season, free of charge. I am not going to have any subscription. It's free of charge. And I'm having fun doing it. And having coaches like yourself makes it exciting for me too. It really does.
No, that's real cool. Is that going to be on Insta, and are you going to post it on Facebook too?
Coach, everything but Snapchat. I don't do that stuff.
Yeah, I don't do the Snap page or the Snap book or whatever that thing is.
I don't do that stuff. So if you want to talk bad about me on Snapchat, I'll never know, because I don't go on that stuff. We have to evolve. It will not be on MySpace, though. I don't have MySpace either.
MySpace? What is that? Is that an AOL thing?
Your space, MySpace, who knows?
I don't have a space. I don't know what that is.
All right, you got to go back and feed those Mustangs behind you. They look hungry, those animals.
They're starving. They've been running for an hour.
Coach, I again, growing up with you and seeing you where you're at right now and knowing where you're going in that direction, only even more exciting times are coming in the future with you. And I hope you're going to still stay coaching for years and years to come, because it's good not only for Brick Memorial but Shore Conference, having a very consistent coach like you in the program. Coach, thank you very much, and best of luck to you guys.
I appreciate it. Good to talk to you, Coach.